So I started by getting this plain brown shirt in the local secondhand shop.
And it's not really leathery, but since it's the bottom layer of the shirt, it should be fine. So then I pinned off below my chest where I want to cut it off from the midriff. And then I added another pin above my chest where I want to cut down the top of the shirt for the scoop neck. Then of course I need to cut off the right hand sleeve, which is what I started with, just cutting it off right on the seam line. And then where the pin was above my chest, I made a little cut where that pin was, and then just cut up to the shoulder, rounding it out to make the scoop neck. Then I folded it over and used that to cut the other side so that it would be even on both sides, just like that. And then I cut off the back side as well. And so then I cut off the bottom to make the midriff, and I put a line of stitches anywhere where there were seams to make sure they wouldn't unravel.
Here it is once I've got the sleeve cut off, the midriff made, and the chest a little more open.
So then I took some distressed fabric that kind of looked like leather, and I folded it in half so it was 2 layers. The fold over there on the right hand side, laid the shirt out on it with the sleeve on the fold. Then I want to make a cut diagonally from the fake leather that will match the shirt, so I fold the shirt over to diagonal and just cut up, leaving a 1/2 inch on the outside. And then over on the side you just want to cut the curve following the seam line of the sleeve. It doesn't have to be long sleeved, it's just going to go over the sleeve, so it should lay like that. And then flip it inside out and sew the shoulder piece together. Then flip it right side out. And that should slide right over the sleeve and lay across the front of that. And so then put it on and pull it up tight, and there should be some loose fabric under your chest. You just want to squish that and put a pin right in that squish to make the dart. So then pull the pin out, and you're just going to cut a long triangle on either side of that squish. And then you're going to fold it up and sew it together, and that will make the dart to allow room for your chest. And so then I hemmed the sleeve and front side of it. So here it is once I've got it hemmed. Just gives it a cleaner edge. So then just take a measuring tape and measure around your torso right underneath the base of the shirt. Cut a strip 2 inches wide and 1 inch longer than that measurement. Then you're just going to fold that to match the fold on the shirt piece. You're going to sew that to the bottom of that. So here it is once I've got it sewn, and I also hemmed the edges, the bottom edge, to give it a nice clean look. And so then I sewed a snap on either end of it, so they can just snap around to fasten it. So to put it on, just slide it over your sleeve, wrap it around your torso, and fasten the snap. And then that just makes everything, the bottom strap makes everything nice and tight so it's not so loose. So next just take a piece of paper, fold it in half lengthwise, and cut up an angle at 2 inches. Then take some more of that fake leather, lay the piece of paper out on it, cut 2 inches higher than it, and then the rest of it just cut flush with the edge of the paper template. So here's that piece there. I'm going to take some more fake leather in a different pattern and shade and go all the way around the edges of it. I did that with 2 pieces. So the second piece I cut 1.5 inches larger on the sides and then 2.5 inches bigger at the top. Then I just took a belt. This is from my Obi-Wan costume actually, that's why I have it labeled. So starting with the big piece, I put the belt on it and folded the edges down, leaving a little bit of space, put a little bit of line of glue where the edge laid, and then glued that edge down. And that way the belt will be able to just slide right in there when it's dry. So on the little piece, you want to buckle the belt this time because this piece has to go over the buckle. But same thing, fold down where it needs to sit, leaving a little bit of space, run a line of glue, and fold that flap down to make a little pocket. Take a piece of craft foam and cut it out using the smaller of the flaps as your template to match it, just like that. And then cover it in the second shade of distressed fabric so it matches the lining edge. You want to cut leaving a 1/2 inch all the way around, and then a full inch at the top flap. So then just glue all the flaps except the top one to the craft foam. Then you'll cut a second piece, same height, just a little bit smaller on the edges, and do the same thing, cut out a piece of fake leather and glue that all the way around with the exception of the top flap. And so then I ran 2 lines of sewing lines matching the shape of the piece going right through the craft foam. And then you just want to put some glue over the whole thing, with the exception of the top flap. The bigger piece goes on the smaller flap, so it covers the whole thing. the whole width anyway, and then put some glue on the back flap and fold that down on the back side. So on the larger flap, you just glue on the smaller piece, same way, glue it on, flip it over, put a line of glue along the excess fabric of the flap, and glue that to the back side. Then flip it back over, run the belt through the pocket, and then do the same thing with the little piece. Put that on the belt, buckle the belt, and then you'll just slide the piece right over the belt buckle to hide the belt buckle. So the small flap goes on the front, the big flap goes on the back. Then just take some strips, some very thin strips of the fake leather stuff, and you're just going to tie those onto the side. On Ayla's costume, they were actually kind of in an X, so you could glue that in place if you want to, but I'm just keeping it simple, and I'm just going to tie them on. You'll tie one on each side in the openings. Then I just got a pair of brown pants from the secondhand shop and my Anakin boots. And then I put it all together to make the full Aayla costume. And the leku I made a couple weeks ago, so I have a tutorial for those. And then I added the lightsaber as well. I have a tutorial from that from a few months back. And I didn't really have time to paint my whole body blue, so it's the magic of digital editing.
Easy, guys, chill. I think she's dead already. You can stop shooting now.